Ah, great. Y'all ended up summoning Toby from Paranormal Activity. Now we're gonna be stuck with a kind of decent ghost story, followed by a bunch of progressively worse sequels. We open this one with our heroines actually enjoying a very decent spread that I guess was supposed to be like a picnic, though I've never seen them serve up horrible hot pots at those. And this was being provided by everyone's favorite kohai, Sonia. Oh what, you don't remember this character? She's been here since the very beginning, just like Mr. Poopy Butthole. But yeah, I kind of love how this character with some pretty epic curls just kind of comes out of nowhere, and everyone pretends like she was there the whole time. That trope is just one that I kind of find hilarious for the absurdity of it all. Anyway, during the little indoor picnic, Ellie stumbled upon a Ouija board because I guess Japan doesn't have to worry about lawsuits from Hasbro. Of course, they played with the board like anyone would by having one or more players clearly move the magnifying glass onto their desired results and then pretending to act surprised for views, I guess. Oh yeah, and Nezu was here too. Did I forget to mention that? Nah, who cares? He walked Sonia back to her dorm, but on his way back to his own, I think he was attacked by an Oni. Should have taken a nap while you had the chance, dude. His corpse was found the next day by Kokoro with what seemed to be a dying message pointing towards his killers. It seemed to spell out MH for Milky Holmes, making them the primary suspects. Of course, they denied it, and Henriette gave them the chance to prove their innocence by the next day, which, yeah, doesn't seem like good detective work on her part. Basically, they murder suspects roam free, but again, it was clear that she was trying to be a stealth mentor for them, plus there were some other things she was hiding. Bottom line, this plot at least makes more sense than Velma's. Realizing with their current aptitudes, our heroines decided to use the Ouija board to contact their respective detective ancestors for help. And surprisingly, it actually freaking worked. Now, I guess they must have lucked out and actually got to one of those rare, well put together Hasbro products. Seriously, how did y'all screw up the Armada Starscream's arms that badly? Anyway, each of the ancestors were introduced through some very accurate depictions of Nico Nico Doga's live chat system, which yes, does get this annoying. Erikyu Poro and Nero Wolf were portrayed fairly accurately, while Cordelia Gray, as far as I can tell, doesn't have many illustrations depicting the character, so the animators just decided to be based and made her into a big boob chick. Nice. And, hilariously enough, each of the deceased detectives possessed their respective descendants, resulting in Ellie and Nero becoming fat middle-aged dudes, while Cordelia got a few extra curves. I especially appreciated how each of them kept their proper VAs, who proceeded to impersonate their ancestors, who were appropriately voiced by vets in the industry. Poirot was especially fitting since that's Inspector Megure's VA. That night, each of the possessed detectives took turns trying to solve the mystery. Wolf went up first and theorized that the layers were part of a literal bigger picture. Yeah, I think we all knew this clown would eventually become a serial killer. Cordelia's 17-year-old grandmother theorized that it was a hamster that killed him, so I guess Gundam Tanaka did it? And Megure theorized that they needed to look at it from a different angle, and then of course made a Detective Conan reference. Honestly, I'm kinda surprised this show doesn't make more of these references. But not too surprisingly, he also came up with a preposterous solution. Yet, as Cheryl pointed out, all of them were kind of onto something, as though they actually did know the answer, and yet they were purposely botching things up, as though to let Milky Holmes solve things for themselves. Yep, they basically pulled up Sherlock Holmes from the Great Ace Attorney, and were giving their descendants little hints rather than straightforward answers. And speaking of whom, where the hell was Cheryl's granddad?
That was dramatic.
Actually, as it turned out, Holmes had accidentally possessed his own bronze statue, and not because he was trying to feed his own ego or anything like that. Anyway, I guess because Cheryl had solved enough of the dying message, Holmes took over the rest of the investigation. And using some surprisingly solid deductions, he managed to profile the culprit, who lived in the dorm numbered 1-3, which of course turned out to be Sonia. Yes, very predictably, the culprit turned out to be the new character who came out of nowhere, but at least this was a competently written mystery, especially for this show. But yeah, the culprit tried to resist by using a telekinesis toy similar to Cheryl's, but fortunately, even as a ghost, Holmes managed to flex his superior psychic abilities as well as his archer chords.
ですから、
シャーロック・ホームズですよ。怪盗の。
のお嬢さん。
Anyway, he and Sonia had a pretty epic battle, which of course was also meant to be a sampling of what his descendant would be capable of, including... way better than the stupid traffic light. With that, Sonia was caught, and hey, as it turned out, that one guy was still alive. Okay, but seriously, as it turned out, Nezu had cooperated with her to fake his own demise. He had then likely reported this to Henriette, who secretly oversaw this whole case, as both girls actually had the same goal in mind, which of course was to help Milky Holmes get their groove back with a case that they would have to solve in order to avoid jail time. Now, of course, it all seemed to work out with the ancestors helping guide them, and even leaving them a message on how they could get back their toys. Regardless, though, in order to keep up appearances, Henriette needed to expel Sonia, but she also did provide her with a letter of recommendation to the Poirot Detective Academy, where I guess she could learn how to be a supporting character in one of the longest damn anime ever. With that, the episode ended with our heroines asking the Ouija board how Nezu was doing in the afterlife, just as he walked into the room, and yet they still treated him like he was dead. This episode was mostly fun thanks to the ancestors, but also partially from having an actual mystery. Yeah, while them not having many actual mysteries in a much more character-driven show like this is perfectly fine, it's also pretty fun when they do actual detective work. Sure, it wasn't the most complicated case ever, but at least they solved it in the most Milky Way Holmes possible. The writer of this episode was Shogo Yasukawa, who we kind of mentioned some of his previous work back in the 7th episode, but truth be told, he's a pretty prolific writer. As mentioned, he had wrote every season of Food Wars, but also did every anime adaptation of Hyperdimension Neptunia, and is currently writing every episode of Otaku Elf. On a bit of a side note, he has also written for some modern Gundam, including a few recent episodes of Witch from Mercury, which just makes me wonder, was he the one who suggested this blatant bit of voice actor connection?
母さん、私たちのためだよね。もちろんよ、愛しの娘たちだ。賭け事はもうやめるって。そうね。
But I digress. While he can write a ton of fan service into his shows, quite well I might add, he also does a good job with more character-driven stories by often highlighting their quirkier aspects. This was nicely done in this episode by bringing in the ancestors of Milky Holmes, who were characters in their own right, but also kind of cleverly helped point them in the right directions, just like the deductions from the Great Ace Attorney. Granted, I do wish they had given a little more time to let Cheryl figure things out before the granddad took over, but limited time run, plus they also wanted to squeeze in an awesome action scene, so I'll let it pass. And regardless, it was still a fun mystery to see get solved, and of course, Holmes is just awesome. It's also nice to see Henriette and Sonia unknowingly working together towards the same goal of getting Milky Holmes back on their feet. And overall, this was a very good episode that is helping build towards the big climax of the season. Yasukawa wrote one more episode for this that helps to wrap all this up, so it's definitely worth looking forward to, like building a Gundam model kit.
私ロボット好きじゃない。
I hope everyone has a nice week. I'm personally doing good because I'm recording this on my day off as it's Juneteenth. Yes, I'm a weirdo who makes YouTube videos on his day off, but hey, at least you get more videos out of it, so you better appreciate it. Still, until next time though, farewell for now, my friends, and yeah, did anyone remember to say goodbye to the Ouija board?